Artificial intelligence surrounds us whether we're aware of it or not. Browsing online, booking an Uber, accepting a Netflix or Facebook recommendation, making an electronic payment. These are all forms of narrow AI that have become part of the modern world. This simulation of human intelligence is focused on relatively simple tasks, but the next generation of AI is moving into the realm of general intelligence with the potential to outthink the human brain at a cognitive level. AGI systems will have the ability to feel, learn, problem solve, and control themselves autonomously using their own reasoning. This iteration of computing will be one of the most momentous shifts in human history. To discuss the implications of AGI and where we're headed, I'm joined by Professor Paul Salmon, Director of the Centre for Human Factors and Socio-Technical Systems at the University of the Sunshine Coast. Hello, Professor. This notion of thinking robots has been the stuff of science fiction, well, for decades. How far off is AGI from becoming a reality?
Hi. That's a really great question. There are the development programs underway across the world, things like Google DeepMind, and estimates really vary on when AGI will actually be with us. But some people think, not kind of next decade. Some people think 2050. Some people think it's not going to arrive at all. But the key point is when it does arrive, there's a range of risks that could emerge that could really be a little problematic for humanity, and some people are even kind of suggesting that it could spell the end of humanity. So regardless of when it arrives, it's extremely important that we're actually looking at the risks now and we're coming up with controls that can be used to manage the risks.
Oh, absolutely. Would you agree, though, that we're on the brink of this revolution that could have a greater impact on humankind than the industrial and the technological revolutions?
Absolutely. It's going to come, it's going to emerge, and really it could revolutionize humanity. There's absolutely no doubt about that.
Okay, well, what does our world feel like post-2050 with AGI as part of our lives?
The thing with AGI is it's really going to have intelligence that is beyond current human intelligence. So, we can't really hypothesize how it's going to work or how it's going to solve society's biggest problems, but we can suspect that it will. So it could, for example, solve the problem of cancer. It could solve pandemics. It could revolutionize our economic system by replacing human work and freeing up leisure time for humans, basically. The trouble is it could also end humanity, so we need to be thinking about these systems now.
Well, that seems like a good idea if it's going to end humanity. But what aspects of AGI are you and your team working on?
So we're really interested in understanding what potential risks there are when AGI is realized and how we can manage those risks. And we're looking at two specific systems. One, a defense system, which is what's known as a UCAV system, so an unmanned combat aerial vehicle system, a fully AGI system, and one which is a road transport management system. So we're kind of looking at both those systems and trying to work out, well, what are the risks that could emerge when these kind of systems are realized? And the critical thing with AGI is it's less about you kind of, Terminators and robots, and less about, maliciously used AGI or maliciously designed AGI. It's more about AGI that is just trying to do its job very well based on the goals it's being given and what risks emerge around that.
Well, we're talking about the risks. What do you think about having a global protocol around its evolution and protecting us?
Yes, I think that's critical. I think, a framework or protocol around really the rules that you should be sticking to when you're designing these systems, when you're testing them, when you're implementing that's absolutely critical. And that will be the outcome of the current research program that we're working on.
From a defence point of view, does the potential for manipulation of AGI represent a national security threat, a catastrophic threat to all nations, to everybody?
Yes, absolutely. It certainly will do, and there's certainly work ongoing which is aiming to prevent that. But again, the risks we're interested in those risks, but we're really interested in just the risks that happen when the AGI is really good at its job. For example, if you think of an unmanned combat aerial vehicle system, you might have an AGI that can just understand and comprehend huge volumes of battlefield data that the humans can't keep up with it. And so what you get in an interesting risk there is that the AGI system may be recommending that a target is attacked, but the humans won't be able to keep pace with that. And so the question becomes then is, do you hand control over to an AGI, and do you trust the AGI to make the right decisions? Or are you going to have a system where the humans need to be able to keep up? And the problem there is you lose a bit of the advantage of the AGI. So you can see quite easily how control would be given to an AGI and some of the risks associated with that, particularly when it's just trying to do its job. So, for example, if it finds a target and it works out that it could take out an entire village to get rid of the target, how do you manage that, basically?
Can you leave us with some sort of positive, exciting element for AGI and how it's going to be used to benefit us, Paul?
Oh, absolutely. And, we certainly don't want to be scaremongers. The positive aspect of AGI is that, it's going to revolutionize humanity. It's going to have intelligence that far exceeds what we currently have. So, things like pandemics, poverty, food and water security problems, climate adaptation, it's going to come up with solutions for all these. So there's no doubt there's a hugely positive outlook around them. But the key point is we need to be developing the controls now that can ensure that the outcomes are positive and not that there are risks to humanity. And so that's really where the research our research certainly is focused at the moment.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Professor Paul Salmon, Director of the Centre for Human Factors and Socio-Technical Systems at the University of the Sunshine Coast. Thanks for your time.
Thank you very much.
To find out more about Professor Salmon's work, follow the links on the APAC Network website.